Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, Jorge and Anfisa. Let's see what happens. Let's go way back and watch, and I'll react.
How was it?
It was okay.
What did you talk about?
Well, we talked about like what I wanted out of marriage and what I thought I needed to do.
Marriage?
Well, I want a happy marriage.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So I told him like, yeah, I want a happy marriage, and he would just repeat everything I said. And
I'm not surprised to hear that George is not getting anything out of counseling. It feels really frustrating that it seems like nobody can get to George.
Yeah, I wonder if one of the experiences that Anfisa has had with him, which I could see, that either she has articulated in a way that I wasn't really picking up on, or doesn't really pick up on in the way that I think I would if I saw it, is that he is either so disconnected with himself and or such a people pleaser in this constant state of just trying to react to everyone around him, or shady, or a combination of everything, meaning that he is Machiavellian and kind of a little bit of a con artist to some extent. I don't know. But he's not very honest. You know, when she says, I want him to be honest, she'll identify the lies that he will commit. But maybe also that he's never really there. He's never really present and vulnerable and real and authentic and human. And when she says, I don't think he's going to be honest in therapy, I wonder if at least there's a part of that she's getting at, which is, I don't think he will emote. I don't think he will access his emotions. I don't think he will be authentic. I don't think he will be real and honest with himself in therapy. Given the way that George was in therapy just then, I wouldn't be surprised. And that can be very aggravating and very disheartening, especially if you have her relational traumas. It can feel like you're in a relationship with a ghost, this illusion, right? You're like, where are you? It can feel very scary if you're in a relationship with someone like that. And what the Georges of the world are trying to do is they're trying to make themselves invisible, one, because they think they deserve that, and that's the way they've always been treated, but also they're trying to not be there because they don't want to bother other people with their wants and their authenticity and their emotions and their realness. So they believe that if they are just a reflection of whatever everyone else wants, they can attain attachment security. But the opposite often will happen, where it might be very pleasant to be with someone that is very accommodating and kind and nice and giving and generous, but over time you start actually trying to wait. So are you there? What do you want? Who are you? What are your hopes and dreams? And what's your true self? What is your now? For some people, they don't have access to that because they were never allowed to have access to that. I don't know. Given everything we've seen, I could see that being a part of the issue, because when they get into fights, he enters into this mode of just like trying to do whatever he can. I mean, not always, but frequently and so there's a chance that, because normally, like when his car was keyed, he just kind of froze. He's like, oh, whereas most people would be like, this is some serious crap. There'd be some kind of, some person there that would have a reaction. And so, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if I've thought of him that way. I don't know if that's true. Obviously, there'd be no way for me to know.
Not me, not counselor. I don't know what it's going to take.
And when people like that go to therapy, it can be very threatening to them because they're being focused on. They're being asked questions. Who are you? What do you want? And that is not comfortable to them because they don't know. And so they will try to deflect in whatever way they can.
To make him listen to me and hear me. So what else did you talk about during your session? I wonder if you were honest this time.
well, this time around, I basically was telling like what I felt that our marriage needed.
And what is it?
Well, more money.
Really? You think that's the problem?
No, well, I told him that's exactly where he replied, you think that's the problem? And I said, well, it's not the.
This is interesting. I didn't think we would get this conversation. So we're getting it right away. He's now telling her what he said, and she's like, what? Which is what I thought now let's see what she'll say in reality. I bet you she'll say, that's not the problem. The problem is you lie all the time. And I would probably say yes and yes, but there's some deeper, more elaborate descriptions of your dynamic that I would characterize in a way, but I don't know. I'm just watching on the show. I don't really know what's going on.
It's not going to fix the problem, but it's going to fix the root of it, and it'll help.
Really? So money is going to fix my relationship with your family?
No.
Or your lies? I am worried that George still thinks that the problem is money, even though I told him so many times that I want him to stop lying, I want him to stand up for me.
So there's a chance that the way he sees it is that if he earned more money, she would not care about him talking with his family bad about her. And thus her complaint about him lying is, he's like, well, yeah, that's real, but I only lie to her because she gets angry at me, and she only gets angry at me because I don't earn enough money. There is some logic to that. I don't think that's true. I think that some people in the audience some viewers might actually believe that to be true. So I guess him saying that makes some sense, but it's kind of absurd to think that is the whole story. But I think a lot of people watching the show, maybe he's been convinced by the audience. Maybe he's been reading comments and stuff and saying, oh, is that what it is? And so there's another possibility that he doesn't really want to be in the relationship. Maybe he doesn't know that. He hasn't really accepted that, but he's not really invested. And so he's just kind of in a lazy way, just throwing this out there as a way of avoiding the whole conversation and trying to self-sabotage the relationship. I don't know. There's just something weird about the way he presents that.
He just does not hear it.
I don't think it's changing anything. I mean, initially we went to these counseling sessions to have a better marriage, but I feel like I'm good right now. I don't feel like I need any more.
If I were there, I'd have a lot of questions about that. I'd be like, so, obviously, what questions I would ask. But, yeah, I wonder what he's avoiding. I've been hypothesizing as to what his attitudes would be about vulnerability and therapy and asking for help, and whether or not he's really invested in the relationship or at this point or not. I don't know. But that statement that he's good and they don't need therapy, it just seems so funny. Now, maybe their relationship is good now in relation to the past, and so he's like, I think we're okay. I think we're doing okay. But that's not really what he's saying. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
George has issues and he needs to work on them, but he hasn't, so what's the point?
Right. So another reason is he feels like he's being blamed, and he feels like he's being dragged into therapy. He might even feel like the therapist, and there might even be reasons to believe this, given what the clips that we saw, that the therapist sees him as the problem and that she doesn't have any issues. And so from his perspective, he's saying what he's saying, but really deep down, he's just like, I don't feel like therapy is good. I feel like it's anti. So that's another thing, is that a lot of men will believe that therapy is anti-men, against men, because they think of therapy as a female-oriented thing. So I don't know. It's just kind of a interesting perspective, and would be disheartening for Anfisa because she feels like they're getting somewhere, and to have someone, and maybe some of you have had that experience. I'm guessing a lot of you have had at least the experience of trying to get your spouse to go to therapy and they don't want to go. It can be really disheartening, because you want to go to therapy for a reason, because there's a problem, and your partner is just like, no, I don't want to. It can be a dead end to a relationship at that point, because it's like, okay, well, we have big problems and we've tried to work on them independently. It's not working. And when you have a problem with your plumbing, you call a plumber. When you have a problem in your marital relationship, you go to a marriage and family therapist, and you're saying that you just refuse to go. Like, you don't even want to give it a try, or you think everything's fine. It can feel really demoralizing. So I wonder if that's what's happening. All right, whenever we see this red screen, it's always something horrible. So it says, Anfisa notified production that she was contacted by one of George's ex-girlfriends. Okay. claiming that George is the father of her 10-year-old daughter. Wow. Interesting. Now, maybe if this is true, it might be a lie, who knows. But if it is true, why would someone lie about that? Maybe George has a explanation as to why he wouldn't tell Anfisa about this. That would be understandable. It's hard to imagine what that would be, but we would wait to hear from him.
So there is a comment that she left on my social media recently. It says, "Why don't you tell George to come and give me some money for his kid already and stop spending it on making you uglier?" And then she sent me like a direct message, and it says, "Just, after seeing the show and..."
All right, so apparently someone claiming to be his former partner says that they have a kid together and is criticizing her, saying, "Why are you spending money on making yourself look uglier? Why don't you give me money? Why don't you have him give me money for our kid?" It says, not it's cool, what's up. Not it's cool, what's up. I just, after seeing the show, and I think she says shit there, I think the word shit, and saying that I just, after seeing the show and stuff, and saying that he actually has money, I feel like it's really effed up that he's never really helped me that much, and he knows damn well that that's his kid, but it's cool, I don't need nobody. People need to learn how to use commas.
saying that he actually has money, I feel like it's really up that he's never really helped me that much, and he knows damn well that that's his kid.
And I'm an old person, but I heard someone who heard from younger people, and not all young people, but that for many young people, when you use punctuation in texting, it's rude. Did I hear that right? That somehow it denotes anger and passive aggression to use a period.
But it's cool, I don't need nobody.
How did you feel when you saw this message?
Upset, but this is not the first time I heard from this woman. When I was still in Russia, George's ex reached out to me claiming that George has a child, but I didn't believe her at the time because our relationship was still new, and I thought it was just like some crazy ex,
Okay, so that's understandable. She thought, or at least was oriented in a way toward him to believe that that was somebody lying. I wonder if she had a conversation with George about it, and did George lie about that too, or is George lying? I don't know.
But, I don't know what to believe anymore. After George's ex reached out to me 3 years ago, when I was still in Russia, I confronted George about it, and George just denied everything, said the child is not his. But now that this woman is reaching out to me again, I'm starting to question if she's serious.
Okay, so they did have a conversation about it, and he denied it. Could be true, could be a lie. We could imagine him lying in a situation like that. And that's the toxicity of lying for George, is that since he's a demonstrated frequent liar, how can you believe him when he says that this other woman is lying? Because that would be exactly something that he would lie about, right? Now, maybe he isn't lying, but you'd be stupid to believe him because he's been proven to lie in the past.
Why would George say the kid isn't his?
I don't know. I'm not sure 100%. I looked at pictures of her daughter, and maybe I can see some similarities with George. It bothers me if George had a child in the past that he has abandoned. George lied to me so much lately, and it may just be another one of his lies.
I will commend her for having a question mark. She's like, well, I don't know what to believe right now. He's lied in the past, so maybe he's lying this time, but I don't know. I don't want to assume anything. So that's very differentiated and compassionate of her, kind of her to do. Give him at least some benefit of the doubt, right?
I'm going to confront George once again, then I want him to get to the bottom of this. I want to know if the kid is really his, and I want him to stand up for me and tell his ex to stop talking about me.
And how does that feel to see that picture though?
I don't know. I always wanted to have a family with George and have kids with him, but I just don't want to cry right now.
Yeah, because I think deep down, this is the real Anfisa. She desperately wants to have a family. She wants acceptance. She wants love. She wants dedication. She wants security, emotionally, attachment-wise. And that would be hard to fake, that you would have tears around saying a sentence like that. I always wanted to have a family with him. I think that that's true. And I think that it's interesting, as the seasons have gone by, she's become seemingly more differentiated. We haven't seen the tough Anfisa much this season, where she's like, I'm just in it for the green card. I'm just in it for the money. And we're not getting that as much anymore. Maybe she's learning to trust. Maybe she's feeling more secure to express herself. Maybe the therapy is helping.
Like, maybe it's his kid, but you see, he said it's not, and I don't want the same thing happen to me, that I will be with this kid and he'll just be like, it's not mine. If this kid is really his, I don't want to have anything to do with George ever again.
Now, I want to say there's a possible scenario here that would make sense as to why he would lie about that, or that he would question heavily whether or not it is his kid or something, or maybe this past relationship woman is abusive to him. I don't know. There's also a possibility that he's lying up and down because it's convenient to him, and that he left a child, abandoned her because it's convenient to him, which which is obviously horrible and might have been what she went through when she was young. All right, well, let's end it there. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.